Well, interestingly enough, Karen, I'll share it here that when you reached out to me, I was like, get out. Because all day, for whatever reason, as if I don't have anything else to do, I was thinking, I need to reach out to Karen and tell her the next CEO I need to share. And I am not short of things to do. So volunteering for extra things to do is not one of the things that I need to be doing. But when she reached out to me, I knew I wanted to share what was really burning in my heart because of what's been happening. And so let me start the timer there. But my topic actually is talking about re-engaging and reawakening, but how befitting to come after both Karen and Courtney, who are talking about the intrinsic motivation, because my re-engaging and my reawakening actually came when I finally tapped into a true intrinsic motivation. And what that looked like is I got the opportunity to sit down with Pat and Karen as my mentors. They are actually Jojo and Autumn, my coaches, but I have been privileged to be mentored by them up close and personal. And I remember the day that I sat down on that Zoom, something about it felt different from the moment I was let into the room. Nothing was said, nothing had happened, but I felt something different was gonna happen. And within 30 minutes, I was becoming weepy inside. And I was thinking, what's this about? Because I didn't know where that was gonna go. But in short, we got toward the end, Karen began to talk about intrinsic motivation, and Pat had let me know that at the end of this, we're gonna ask you for some things like your real why. And when we got to the end of that, and I don't think I'd ever expressed this or said this or tapped into this before, I had trouble dreaming before, but when I was asked the question, what are the three things? The very first thing that came out of my mouth without effort, and I'm feeling the feels even this moment as I'm getting ready to say it, but I said to them with all sincerity that I'm all that my children have. And it just really hit me for real in that moment that I'm all that my children have. My former husband was a drug addict. There was no provision. Now that they are young adults, he's not looking at their future. I'm all they have. And I want to make sure that I do my part. Do I have to provide for them now? No, but I gave birth to these children. And I want to make sure that I do everything that I can, that I give everything I can to them. So in that moment, that's where my reawakening started. That's where I knew I had to engage. I began to go all the way back to the basics. Does anybody know about that group that we had for Awaken that happened just a few months back? Did anybody forget about it? Well, I went back to it. And I began to watch video after video after video, 3 and 4 hour long videos. And I began to reawaken myself, and the tools that I gained from that, I began to re-engage with those tools. One of the things that was shared in one of the videos, Pat was posing a question. It was a Q&A time. And he was posing the question of, what would you say to yourself if you were to go back after having coached for 30 days? And Brandy's husband, Doug, actually answered that question. And it just hit me it just like punched me in the stomach. He said if he had to, he would go with some advice that he had received from somewhere. But he said, if I were to give this business 3 years with blinders on and not take any breaks or pauses, it would pay me for the next 30 years. Something about that hit home with me, that I could give 3 years and it would multiply into 30. And I began to, it hit me so much, I began to share it with my team. I began to share it with other coaches that I'm working closely with. And I replayed that over and over until I actually got it. I had a coach that said, oh, well, I've been doing this for a year and a half. So a year and a half. I said, well, you can go with the year and a half that you did, but I know that I've had breaks and pauses the last 2 years. So if I'm to be honest, I've only been in for about 12 days. So I still have almost 3 years to go. But if it's gonna pay me for 30 years, I'm willing to do it. I began to get so fired up over everything that I was taking in for myself. And when she talked about action breeds action, I began to pour everything that I was getting into my coaches and into my team. And I'm beginning to see them reawaken, and I'm beginning to see them re-engage. We're not focused on where our business is because of what we have not done before, but we are focused on the actions that we're putting in now, knowing that it's going to bring a harvest for us in the future. And so I have decided that I am not going to check out at this point. It doesn't matter that life has happened to me. It doesn't matter what I've walked through in times that I felt paralyzed and I could not do it. But I have decided that I want what this business has to offer. I've decided that I want everything that God has promised me. And if he has given me as the vehicle to get to what he's promised me, then I have to be awakened and I have to be engaged. And so I'm going to share 3 things with you really quickly. My time is up, but the really thing, I'm going to share it really quickly. If I had to leave you with 3 things in how to reawaken and how to re-engage, or what to do about all of this that I'm talking about. Number 1, you have to open yourself up to the pour that you need. Number 1, I opened myself up to my mentors and I let them speak into me. I let them tell me hard things, all of those things. But I also went back to all of the pour that we've been getting in those groups and all of those videos. And I finished with that and I moved on to the mastermind group, and I've been video after video. Did you know that we have a lot of boot camp videos that we didn't really pay attention to, that we can go back to and get poured into? We need to do that. Number 2, surround yourself with those going where you want to go or are already there. On one of those videos in the Awaken, I heard Kristen Adair share something, and I replayed that over and over until I got it. She said something to the tune of, you become a product of the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most. You know what I did? I said, God, show me my 5 that I need to spend time with. Show me my 5 that I need to build relationship with. And I have been connecting with women in this coaching community because I know I need that. And the final thing I will share with you is that when you reawaken, stay woke. Thank you so much for letting me share.